The Texas Parks and Wildlife television series is funded in part by a grant from the Wildlife and Sport Fish Restoration Program. Through your purchases of hunting and fishing equipment and motorboat fuels, over $50 million in conservation efforts are funded in Texas each year. Additional funding provided by Ram Trucks. Guts, glory, Ram. Coming up on Texas Parks and Wildlife.
We're on the Goliad Paddling Trail on the San Antonio River. You don't have to be a skilled kayaker in order to enjoy the river.
You've got a 7,000-ton piece of metal there. It wants to do what it wants to do.
You really have to pay attention very closely to the surface, and you literally see it coming off.
Texas Parks and Wildlife, a television series for all outdoors.
We're on the Goliad Paddling Trail on the San Antonio River. It's up a little bit, kind of fast compared to what it usually is, but nice.
It's real green out here.
Yeah, it's a little green.
A lot of katydids.
We do have a paddling trail here, and we were actually the first state park to have a paddling trail site designated inside a state park.
This is a wide river, it really is.
It's about 6.1 miles of beautiful, pristine river. The site here in our park is the takeout site. The other developed areas to get on the paddling trail are north of our park. So once you get to the park, people have to get off the river unless they want to continue to float with no easy access to get off.
Better than the schoolwork.
Yeah.
I'm glad we're out of school for summer. What I like about here is the scenery, the nature, all the birds and stuff. And this, the river's real calm. Good place just to sit out and hang out and canoe.
It's a coastal stream, so it has muddy banks. Grass and trees grow right down to the bank. You usually see a lot of wildlife because of that.
Lots of trees. Water.
It's good for families. You don't have to be a skilled canoeist or a kayaker in order to enjoy the river. Right now we're just drifting, we're floating on the current.
I go out here every so often. I like the river, but this is the first time I've been like solo kayaking. It's always pretty out here.
People love to come here and camp. They spend the weekend here and enjoy the float. It's very quiet and serene.
The 6.5-mile current trail I can make in an hour and a half. Most people take a little over 2 hours. And we will go pretty close to downtown Goliad, a couple blocks from the courthouse, and you wouldn't know you were near a town. You hear crickets and cicadas and birds, but nothing that sounds like humans. It's a nice, friendly river.
We're celebrating 10 years of the Texas Clipper, serving as an artificial reef for the marine life and people of Texas.
Born to support a world war, redesigned as a world-class cruise liner, and then a maritime training vessel, the Texas Clipper is now at her final port of call. The bell ceremony signals the last change of watch for the Texas Clipper, as Texas Parks and Wildlife Department takes final command of her. Saved from being cut into scrap metal, it is soon to become an artificial reef, providing needed marine habitat and quality fishing and scuba diving for the people of Texas. But before there was a Texas Clipper, she was known as the Queens. (1944). The war is now going the way of the Allies. There is a huge need to transport troops and weapons to the South Pacific for the fight against Japan. Answering that need is the Queens. She was destined to be a Texas ship from the beginning. Her hull was laid on March 2, 1944, the anniversary of Texas Independence Day. The Queens carried 47 officers and 512 enlisted men on its maiden voyage. Joe Edwards was one of them.
I was 17 years old and joined the Navy. I was just country boy. And after I took the boot training and all and when I went aboard, it just seemed like a second home to me. We traveled so much, different places. That's what really made it interesting.
She left Norfolk, Virginia, and went straight to Pearl Harbor, picking up troops and supplies and transporting them to all corners of the Pacific. One of the first places the Queens delivered troops was the island of Iwo Jima, site of one of the bloodiest battles of the Pacific War. Joe's duty was to pilot a personnel transport.
There were so many people killed there that they just couldn't take care of everything. And when we were unloading, you'd have to watch not to hit a body or something that was still floating around the edge of it. We had 3 doctors aboard our ship, and we took on a lot of the wounded people, and they brought them out, and the doctors helped with the hospital ship there. It took them a long time to get that island straight.
The Queens was commissioned near the war's end, so one of its most memorable duties was bringing thousands of troops home. When she was decommissioned, she quickly moved to her next life as the ex-Cambion. In 1947, the Queens was redesigned to carry both cargo and passengers by Henry Dreyfuss, the man who designed the radium dial alarm clock, the Hoover upright, and the rotary dial telephone. This was to be a luxury ship with a country club style. Renamed the ex-Cambion, it was one of the 4 Aces, the first fully air-conditioned ships in the world. She embarked from New Jersey and traveled the Mediterranean on a 6-week round-trip voyage. Fares started at $850.
It was considered back in the 1950s as one of the top-of-the-line luxury ships. It had some of the most elaborate staterooms that existed at the time. One of the cargo holds that we know of now was used as an actual swimming pool. Some of the best service was found on that ship.
Life was good and very comfortable aboard the ex-Cambion until the birth of the transatlantic airplane. Now everyone wanted to fly, and the ex-Cambion found herself out of business, but ready to move on to her next life as the Texas Clipper. The Texas Maritime Academy was now in command, making her an ocean-going campus to train cadets for the American Merchant Marine. Texas A&M University at Galveston took over the training program and painted her maroon and white, the only one like it in the world. One of the instructors on board was Dr. Stephen Curley.
For a dozen years, I sailed on board the ship as an English teacher, and for 10 weeks each summer we went out, And I suspect when you add up 10 weeks and multiply it by 12 years, you have an awfully long time. I was on board that ship probably longer than most of the Navy people were on board the Queens.
The students took classes and worked hard learning how to command and care for the ship, and they traveled the world while doing it. The Texas Clipper went on 30 cruises, visiting ports in countries such as Uruguay, Greece, Peru, and Russia.
The Queens never crossed the equator. The Texas Clipper crossed the line 4 times, and each time there was a ceremony when you would do things like put some noxious unguents from the galley on people's hair and shave them with a wooden razor and splash seawater on them to cleanse them. And they worked really, really hard, but there was a sense of fun in addition to that.
In 1988, Ann Sanborn, a former cadet, became captain of the Clipper, making her the first ever woman to be skipper of a deep-sea American merchant vessel. The Texas Clipper was more than a ship. She was a teacher.
Every ounce of that ship I loved. Ships are the biggest things built by human beings that move. And I think they move, they take care of us, and ultimately they move us in more ways than one.
Ships grow old, and the sea stays forever young. In 1996, after 52 years of service, the Clipper was retired, the oldest active ship in the entire American merchant marine. After sitting and rusting for 10 years, the Clipper was acquired by Texas Parks and Wildlife. It took a year to thoroughly clean the ship and prepare it as an artificial reef.
We've modified the hull for water circulation and diver access. Anything that could float off the ship or cause a marine hazard has been removed. This by far exceeds the amount of effort that's gone into any one particular reefing project.
Having received inspections and approvals from the U.S. Maritime Administration and the Environmental Protection Agency, the Clipper was now ready for her final voyage.
We towed the vessel out of the harbor. It was just a sense of elation for a lot of people, especially people who had served on the Texas Clipper traveling the world.
This last voyage was a short one, just 17 miles out from South Padre Island to her final home. She had not been on the open seas for over 12 years, but she did just fine and was ready the next morning. On November 17th, the anchor was dropped at the location of the Clipper's new home. The final few holes were cut for circulation of water and sea life. The flood valves were opened, and the last man on board was recovered.
We're watching the ship sink, and at that point you realize that you've got a 7,000-ton piece of metal there. It's just a huge sight to behold, and it wants to do what it wants to do. Once we were watching this thing go down, it was just very impressive. It was the largest thing I have seen happen, and certainly the largest thing I've had the privilege of working on.
After 63 years of floating on the world's oceans, the Texas Clipper is now at her final port of call.
The ship is going to be home to a new crew. It's the flora and fauna underneath the water. It's just as it was our ship, it's going to be theirs as well. I say farewell Texas Clipper, farewell Excambian, farewell Queens. You did one heck of a job, and you're still doing it.
just east of El Paso. Past the cars and sounds of the city lies sacred ground. Hueco Tanks, a small state park with the history of humankind here for all to see. These rocks were the canvas for humans dating back perhaps as early as 6,000 years ago. Here there are more painted masks than anywhere else in North America.
There really is no other place like Hueco Tanks in terms of the nature and the number of the pictograph images. And for a tiny place of only 860 acres, there's just an amazing number of separate pictograph sites.
Hueco Tanks is a sacred place for Native American communities, including the Tigua, Mescalero Apache, and Kiowa, and before that, the people of the Jornada Mogollon culture.
This is one of several really special pictographs at Hueco Tanks. And if you look in the interior of the body of the figure, you can see what look like lightning bolts. And the eyes, they're kind of round, googly eyes. This mask that we sometimes call Starry-Eyed Man has been staring out of his little niche in the rocks for between 600 and 1,800 years. It's amazing that it's in such good condition.
Unfortunately, over time, vandals damaged several pictographs with graffiti. The thought was they could never be restored back to their original glory.
Yep, I'm okay.
That is, until now. Scientists have brought their state-of-the-art lab to this site, HC, and they're here to look at the graffiti paint.
Our biggest challenge has been here that we can't take a sample, which is typical for even works of art like Rembrandt's and Leonardo's. We can't take a sample off of the sacred paintings at all.
With this Raman spectrometer and two other high-tech instruments, they can analyze the exact makeup of the paint.
So move just a fraction to your right, just a very, very small amount to the right.
This is something that has never been tried before.
Good, excellent, oh, really good, okay. You captured that, Dan? Yep. If the conservation is not done properly at this time, the aging and degradation process can actually accelerate. A little more. It's critical to be able to make the identification as to what the current state of the objects are and be careful to conserve them as best we can.
And that's where Andrei and Bartek Dynowski come in. Using the information collected from the Raman spectrometer, they're going to try something that has never been done here at Hueco Tanks.
There it is.
This is Castro.
Because I want to see the final result right away here.
Maybe right here too.
This is pre-Columbian, and the graffiti is about 50 years old.
The plan is, with laser technology, they will remove just the top layer of graffiti and leave behind the original pictograph.
We're using infrared light. I mean, it's a similar technology that's used in tattoo removal to take tattoos off, so you can be very precise with the laser.
The work is going really well. It's really difficult for me to stop because it's really exciting. The work is kind of instantly gratifying.
Here, for example, this was graffiti coming down, and as you can see, right in this part, this was all covered with graffiti. We uncovered part of a pictograph here. I thought this was just, part of the A and that there was nothing there. And then I'm finding that, there is actually an image there that we didn't know was there before. It's really exciting. It's really satisfying.
At first, we just came here. It was another place that we were going to work, but after just a few hours, it became not another place. It became a really important place to me, and it is a magical place. It's to me more than just a project. It's something that I feel really closely attached to.
I'm gonna go after this area, these guys, and try to take them out.
You really have to pay attention very closely to the surface, and you literally see it coming off. You know, you're aware of the fact that you could at any point, if you get careless, destroy something irreparably, and it's lost to history. And it's been there for thousands of years. You're there to try to uncover it, and if you're not paying attention to what you're doing, you could make it go away forever. So that's extremely stressful.
In this area right here, you can see that I've pretty much taken down the graffiti layer and we're down to the bare stone. Up here, this slight milkiness is some residue of the paint still left behind. And again, in this area, we're almost at the stone by itself. And you can see that the continuation of the color with the background is the same.
The vandalism that was done at these sites took something away from Hueco Tanks visitors.
It's beautiful up here.
It took away their ability to experience amazing ancient images in the way that they were meant to be seen by the people who created them. This project is a way that we could get that back.
Maybe I'll just do this a bit more carefully and slowly, because it looks like I'm uncovering something.
So the R is gone, the O is gone, part of C and A. Wow. We actually have never ever seen, not myself or anyone else who works here, we've never been able to see this rock face without this defacement on it. This is the only way we know it, because it's been here so long. And we had such a belief until now that it was going to be here forever, that it wasn't removable.
The fact that we are able to remove the graffiti and bring back the site to what it was before the sites were vandalized is quite amazing, because in a way we are turning back a clock of time and making this site to be what the Native Americans wanted it to be. And I think the first time in decades, people will be able to see the site the way it was meant to be.
Let Passport to Texas be your guide. Listen to the weekday radio series and encounter fascinating wildlife. Explore cooking wild game. Enjoy the country's best hunting and fishing. Visit PassportToTexas.org to find a station near you. And remember, life's better outside.
This series is funded in part by a grant from the Wildlife and Sport Fish Restoration Program. Through your purchases of hunting and fishing equipment and motorboat fuels, over $50 million in conservation efforts are funded in Texas each year. Additional funding provided by Ram Trucks. Guts, glory, Ram.